Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on um, African Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it comes from a message that I received on Facebook, and the translation it reads like this: "Oh, it is scary." The message it reads like this: "Hello, brother. How are you? Can you please post my story as hidden identity? I have come here. I have my confession that I want to share with you. This happened when I used to work for this other South African family. The husband has since passed away, but I think that he had done something that was so bad, like to kill someone, because he kept on acting as if he was losing his mind. My story, it started, this was in the year 2014 when I came to South Africa. I struggled and I used to face a lot of challenges. First of all, I did not know anyone in South Africa. I had no relatives apart from the boyfriend whom I had met at a church crusade that had happened in our village in Zim. So he was part of the evangelist that had came with the pastor who was holding the crusade in our village. He then proposed love to me. He told me about South Africa, and back in those days, any man that was working in South Africa, you knew that if you were going to date him, it meant that you now have food at your house. If he sent some groceries, at least you will be okay, because there was a lot of poverty and suffering, and people were even starving to death. So the moment that he told me that he had a job, he was working as a security guard in South Africa, I was happy for him, and I was happy that I had found him, and I agreed. We then exchanged phone numbers. The funny part about it was that I did not even have a phone. So there was one teacher at the school where I studied when I was in high school. That was the teacher who used to receive the phone calls from our loved ones. So you would go there and you had to wait, because you would tell your boyfriend that at 11 or 12 p.m. I'll be at the teacher's house. If he did not call at that time, then you had to go back another time. So we used to talk until he sent me a phone. I was amongst the few people that started having a phone in our village, and then he convinced me to come to South Africa. When I came to South Africa, I was really excited, but I did not know that when you enter into a relationship with a man who knows your background, how poor you are, and your expectations, that man will tend to take advantage of you, just like what this man then did to me. He knew that I did not have anyone in South Africa, so he started using me. Like, I would go to work, and when I would have returned back from work, then if I had some money, because I used to do some piece jobs and you get paid on the spot. So what this man used to do was that he would take that money and he would go and he would buy sex from these other South African women that were also staying in the same location. So it's not like they loved him. I found out that from this other woman who said that I don't care about your husband, but he is the one who comes to me and he will say, I have this money, please just sleep with me. And whenever he would have done that, then the woman will give the man that I was staying with sex. So I was being used by my husband. With the money that I was working for, he would go and buy sex, and it was painful. He would abuse me, beat me up, because there was no way that I would ever go to the police. It then happened that we changed locations, because I thought that maybe if we move to another location, then my husband will stop being this prostitute that he is. We then started staying in another location. When we were staying in that location, that was when he kept on with the abuse. What he did not know, and I also did not know, that at the house where we were staying, it belonged to this other man whom I later started working for. He was a South African man. He was much older, but he was still in the army. He was working in the army as a soldier. So when he heard that there were new tenants that were from Zim that were always fighting at his place, he said that he was going to come from KZN and he would see what was going on. So then one day when me and my husband were fighting, he ended up breaking the window, and I also did the same. What happened on that day was that I went out and I had gotten a job where we were supposed to pack merchandise in ShopRite, but this we did at night, like it was towards festive season. So they wanted to move quickly to pack the shelves. So they hired some of us that were from Zim. Then we worked overnight, and I was tired because I went to work around 9 in the morning. We worked, we were even eating whilst we were working until the next morning because we had to pack everything as quickly as possible. So when I returned back home, I then found out that my husband, he was with this other South African woman, and it was so painful because I had been working throughout the night. We then started fighting, and when we were fighting, he started throwing all of my clothes outside, saying that I don't love you anymore. Yet I was the one that had paid rent in the past 2 months that he had not been working. So I just lifted a stone and I wanted to throw at him. I then ended up breaking the window. When I broke the window, and then that man came and he saw what was happening, he gave us a warning. But the people that we were staying with, they then told him that even though I had broken the window as well, but it was because of the environment. My husband was very abusive. So that man, he then said that he was going to speak with his wife. That is how I moved from Joburg and I went and I started working for that family in KZN. When I was working for them, life changed because I now had a salary. Like each and every month, I knew that I'll be getting money in which they were paying 1,400 rands each and every month. It was a lot because I would only use about 400, then 1,000 I would send it back home. My parents, they were no longer struggling now. They had food and it was okay. Since I already had one child, I said I don't need a man really, because I am coming out of a very stressful situation and a painful relationship. So I continued working. That was all that I cared about. But there were things that I started to notice, especially about my boss. He was someone that was like always nervous at all the times. Like he would always have these spiritual encounters. One day he asked me if I believed that witchcraft was real since I was from Zim. And I said, yes, witchcraft is real. He then asked me some of the things that I had witnessed in my village. I told him about this other day when we had gone to steal some watermelons from this other garden that belonged to one of these women who was a sangoma in our village. And when we had tried to steal the watermelons, we took one each. It was me, two of my siblings, as well as my other friends. Like we were so hungry, we did not have anything to eat at home. So we stole those watermelons. To our surprise, after we had taken one each, that was when we were unable to find where we could exit the garden. And this was not a big garden, by the way. It was just a normal village garden. It did not even have a proper fence. Like they used to put like branches, thorny branches, so that animals won't enter into that garden. But we could not find any way where we could just leave that garden. And when I told him about this, he got interested and he started asking me if that sangoma was still alive. I then said, no, the sangoma died a very long time ago when we were still young, but the children, they are the ones that are still helping people if they want to consult. He then said to me, is it possible if I want to go with you so that I can meet those people, because I want them to help me with something? He was afraid to tell me the truth as to what was going on in his life. Later on, when he saw that he was comfortable into telling me some of the things that were affecting him, that was when he told me that he had blood that was on his hands and there was someone that was troubling him. He even told me that he would see someone that would appear in his car when he was driving. It was as if he was sent. I really do not know to make a hit on this other woman who was dating a big politician. I really do not know, but he told me that this woman was connected to big people when she was still alive, and then that woman had to die. That is the small details that he gave to me, and he was always nervous at all the times, and he told me that it was because of the spirit of that woman that had been troubling him for a very long time. So I agreed, and then I went with that man to Zim. When I went with this man to Zim, I did not know a lot about rituals, and I regret the decision that I made to tell that South African man that in our village there was a Sangoma who used to practice witchcraft, because if I had not taken him, 3 of his children, they would be living without a disability, because by the time that I left KZN returning back to Joburg, 3 of his children, all of them, they had been involved in car accidents, and all of them, they had damaged spinal cords. And these accidents that happened, it did not happen all at once. It happened one after the other, and all of them, they ended up having this damaged spinal cords. And if they are still alive, they can become my witness. They are severely disabled to this very day, and they were children that were okay, that did not have any disabilities at all. But it only happened after I had taken that man to my country in Zim. So he promised me that he was going to give me money, and he said that he was going to speak with his wife first, and the woman, she did not want to go to Zim. But then he said to me, speak with your uncles in Zim and ask them if it is possible that they can give me some charms that is going to make my wife to agree. So then I was told what I was supposed to do. So the Sangoma had told me that I was supposed to find something that belonged to a relative of my boss's wife, and she was supposed to be related to that person by blood, and we had to use the personal item that belonged to that relative of my boss's wife. So my boss's wife, she had her brother who had recently gotten married. So then I was told to go and steal the diapers that had poop. So my boss made an arrangement that we were going to visit his brother-in-law. So me and my boss, we knew each other, and we knew that there was a mission that had made us to go and visit his brother-in-law, but the wife, she did not know anything. So what he had told me to do was that since there was baby poo that was needed to be used in that ritual, I was supposed to get so close to the maid so that if she would change the baby's diaper, then she can even give me to go and throw it away. And I became so close, and it was easy because she was from Zim. She did not even know that I had something that I wanted to do with the diapers that she would give to me when we were working, since she was the nanny. And I would take those diapers, put them in a plastic bag, and I would put it in the car, because my boss had given me the car keys, and he showed me the compartment where I was supposed to hide those diapers so that they won't smell. We were able to secure 3 used diapers during the time when we stayed there. He asked me how many diapers that we had, and I told him, and then he said, okay, it's fine. Now we can return back. So then we returned back to their house, and my madam boss, she had no idea that this was what had happened. When we arrived, I then asked the Sangoma, what is it that I was supposed to do? And I was told by the Sangoma that what I was supposed to do was that I was supposed to cook food. Whenever I would cook food for my madam boss, I was supposed to mix the gravy with the baby poo, and this was what was going to make her to agree to do anything that her husband will say. Even if her husband will say, let us go to Zim today, she will just agree. And it happened, brother, even though she had refused before that. She had said that she did not want to do it. Upon our arrival in Zim, little did I know that my boss, he also had other intentions that he had, and he also wanted to experiment to see if he was going to be given some charms that will help him to make money to be feared at work. So he spoke with the healer. By then, I was not in the consultation room because I was scared of sangomas. So he was then given a snake. This snake that was given to him, it was in form of a flower. He had been told that this flower, he had to water it with the blood of virgins, the period blood. How he was supposed to get it, I do not know. But if he had told me, I would have told him to refuse such an offer, because how can you say that you are going to survive with the blood of virgin woman? It was something that I never knew that he had agreed to do. But later on, when he came back to me, by the time that I stopped working for him, because I knew that this thing that he had done, it was going to finish his entire generation, he came to me and he told me that he had been given this flower, and now he was struggling to get the blood of virgins when they were on their period, and the flower was now talking to him. So he took me to this other room when my madam boss was not around. When we entered into that room, I had the flower. It was clearly talking, but it was talking Shona that had an accent for someone that comes from the Manicaland province. And I knew that this flower that had been given to him, it was not an ordinary flower, but it was the spirit of a person that had been taken from the graves. I asked him about the rule that had been given to him. It was that this flower was not supposed to go for more than 3 months without him watering it with the blood of a virgin woman that she produces when she is on her period. And he had failed to get that blood. He had even offered to give money to one of this other girl that stayed in the same street, and she had said that she was going to report him if he kept on telling her all of that scary stuff. I knew that something bad was about to happen. So since this flower had not been given the blood that it wanted, that was when it went ahead and it caused the eldest son to have an accident. My boss's eldest son had an accident. The car turned over and he did not hit anything. He had an accident. He stayed in the hospital and his spinal cord was severely damaged and it could not be repaired. He was sitting in a wheelchair. The wife ran away from him, and then it happened. The daughter also had an accident after she had been driving whilst she was drunk. A spinal cord as well was broken. Then the other one also had an accident. These accidents, my brother, they happened only in 2 years. That is what happened. I used to see a green snake. There is this other type of a green snake that looks like a green mamba, but it is not a green mamba. It is very common in KZN. I used to see it whenever I would be mopping or doing or any of my duties. I'll see that snake. It used to love to hang on the lights on the ceiling. That is where it will be hanging, looking at you. But where it would have come out from the ceiling, you will never see, because the ceiling did not have any hole at all, and it will just disappear whilst you will be looking at it. And this is what happened. By the time that I said that I do not want to do this anymore, and then I returned back to Joburg. By then I had made enough money, and by then he had given me money that was quite a lot, that I managed to buy a taxi here in South Africa. And then I returned back home with that taxi. My brother started operating that taxi in Gweru, because our village is close to Gweru, the city. So to this very day, my brother still has those taxis. I just feel sorry for those kids that are crippled because of what their father did. Your dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by one of our dear sister, strange things indeed they do happen in this world. Let us talk about this in the comment section. Yo.